Hey, what's going on, guys? So in today's video, I just wanted to go over how to quickly create a scroll view programmatically using Swift. I've seen a lot of videos on doing this, and all of them usually set the height to a static number, like plus 1,000 to the screen size or something like that, and that never really fit the needs of what I needed. So when I found the solution, I was like, let me share this with everybody else to be able to dynamically grow your scroll view or grow your content view to be able to fit all of the content that you need. So in this video, that's what we're gonna do, and this is what we're gonna make right over here. Very quick demo. I like Final Fantasy VII, so I went ahead and used a character from the game. And as you can see here, it's going to have the character title, character's name, image view, and then the description down below. And as you can see, it doesn't scroll any more than it needs to. It just scrolls with whatever content's in there. So that's what we'll be building on in this video. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, so now we're going to go over to create a new project. We'll go ahead and just name this scroll view to, if I can spell, tutorial. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and save this to documents right there. And boom, we're good to go. So let me go ahead and expand this so we have more screen space. All right, so before we can start building out the project, we have to do a couple little things to allow for the programmatic approach. So first off, we're gonna go to build settings, and inside a filter, we just type in main. And right here, we're gonna want to delete this file. So that's good. Next up is going to be this main.storyboard file. We're going to want to delete this. So let's go ahead and delete that one. Then lastly, we're going to go to the info plist and go through all the drop downs. So you get to item 0 right here. And we're going to delete this storyboard name. Now that that's gone, we can't build it yet because we still have to set up the scene delegate. So we'll go ahead and do that. So right here, we're going to name this scene, and we're going to set this up to be able to properly show what we're going to need to display on the screen. So first, we have this window variable up top. We're going to set that to be equal to a new window. So it's equal to a UI window, and it's going to have a frame of UI screen.main.bounds. So it fills up the whole screen. Next, we're going to set the window.view controller equal to the view controller that we have made for us already right here. And then next is going to be window.makeKey invisible. And lastly, we're going to set the window scene, there we go, equal to the scene we just named up top right here. So now that we have this done, we should be able to build and run and get a black screen. So let's go ahead and do that. There it goes. Okay, took a little long. All right, sweet. So we got that run or going for us. So let's go ahead and give our view a background color. So view.background color is going to be .white. And now let's add the steps of what we're actually going to do. So first things first is going to be, let's go ahead and write it out. Step 1 is going to be creating the scroll view. So create scroll view. Step 2, we're going to need to create the content view. And step 3 is going to be create the UI. And then lastly, step 4, we're going to need to create or add, I guess would be better, add constraints to our UI. Oh boy. There we go. That is not how you spell constraints. There we go. Oh lord. Bloopers right there. Alright, cool. So first things first, let's go ahead and create this scroll view. So we're gonna say let scroll view be of type UIScrollView, and we're going to set it up in here. Let's go ahead and return this view. As you can see, this indentation is off. So the quick little fix for that is if you highlight it, hit Control-I, it will go ahead and indent it properly for you. So we're going to need a couple properties. I'm going to go ahead and grab them from the project I already made just so I have to type them all out. And right here. So we'll have the view. We're going to show the vertical indicator, and then translates to auto resizing constraints. This we're going to set to false. This allows us to add our constraints programmatically. Next up, we're going to create our content view. This is pretty simple, so we'll say let content view be of type UI view. And this one, all it really needs is the view is going to be equal to UI view, and we'll return that. And right here, it just needs this property so that we can set the constraints programmatically. Oh, I didn't put return view. There we go. Okay, so to give a brief little visual of what we're going to do, I created this little Illustrator file here. Wow. So the way that I like to set up these constraints, and just so that it makes it easier for the whole view to be able to scroll properly, what I like to do is create views inside of my content view. So for instance, this view right here would be considered, say, the top view, and inside of this top view we'll have two labels. We'll have the character label, and then we'll have the character's name. So doing this allows us to connect UI from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen, and that's what really gives you your scrolling content. Usually you can try to do this by doing these elements individually, like setting the top to the bottom of this and then so on and so forth, but sometimes it gets a little tricky and a little annoying to be able to do that. So that's why I like to use this the views inside of the content view. So let's go ahead and jump into creating our UI. So the first thing we will create is the top view. So this will be a view, and there we go. Turn view. Oops. Alright, so the only thing we really need to do for this view is set this property to false so we can set our constraints. Have a hard time spelling today. Alright, so the other elements that we're going to need, I'm going to go ahead and copy those just to save us some time. So I will have the title label, which will be this one that says character, and the description label we'll change this to character name label, and these will be our two that are going to be inside of the top view. The next set of UI that we're going to add is right here. I'll just go ahead and grab those from over here. So we have the middle view, character image, and the character description. The middle view is going to contain the image and the description, and it'll be constrained all the way to the bottom of the view controller. So let's go ahead and add our constraints now to be able to put this all together. So down here, I'll type out the first one just so it can make a little more sense for you guys. Configure UI is what we'll call this, and inside of here we're going to want to add the scroll view to our view. So view.add subview, and we're going to add our scroll view, and if we just type out ns layout constraints.activate, here we can add an array of constraints that we want to activate for the scroll view. So we'll say scroll view.top is going to constraint to the view.safe area, because we do not want it to cut or get behind this little notch up top. So we'll set it to the safe area, the top anchor for there, and then we'll set the left, right, and bottom. Okay, so we have those typed out. For the bottom, we also set the safe area just so that it doesn't go underneath the little line down here that allows us to swipe up. Alright, so next we're going to add the constraints for the content view. This one is where it's pretty important. This is where you would be able to set the content correctly, and also adding the constraints to the content layout guide for the scroll view is what really makes a big difference here. So we'll say scroll view, add subview, and the content view, and I'm going to grab these from over here just to make it a little easier. So our scroll view is adding this content view, and the content view is being equal to the scroll view's top, left, right, and bottom. But instead of just those areas, it's going to be the content layout guide. And then we're also centering the content view to the scroll view. This is where we get the correct layout for all of the content inside of the scroll view so that it scrolls correctly, and you can add UI and it'll dynamically grow. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and create the constraints for the top view and all of the UI that goes inside of that top view. So we'll say configure top view, and we'll go ahead and grab these from the other projects. So for the top view, we're gonna add some padding in the top view so that we don't have to add it individually to each element inside of that view. So it's going to be constrained to the content view's top, but the left and right are also going to have a padding of 16 on each side, just so that it looks a little organized and nice. And we're also going to set the height to 150 because that's more than enough space for these items to be able to be visual or visible for us. So we'll go ahead and grab those. Boom, there we go. And we're gonna have to change this because we renamed it to the character name label. So let's go ahead and change out description label. So there we go. If we run this app right now, we are not gonna get anything because we haven't called our UI functions. So we'll go ahead and call these. So configure top view, and then in view did load, we will call configure UI. Now that we run that, we should just see our two labels at the top, which we do. As you can see, it doesn't scroll right now because there's no need for it to scroll. And if you were to set the scroll view's height statically, that's where you would see scrolling all the way to the bottom and all the way back up. But I feel like that's not a very good user experience. All right, so let's go ahead and set up the last set of constraints for the middle view. And we'll throw that in there. So the middle view is going to be constraint to the bottom of the top view, and then it's going to have the same left and right of 16, and we set the parameters for the character image and character description. If I run this, I don't think it's going to build, or it's going to build, but it's not going to look nice because I haven't put the image yet. So yeah, and I didn't call the function either, so that would help. Configure middle view. And let me grab that image from over here. Show in Finder. Let's go to our assets, and we will drop this image right there. And let's rename it Cloud. That is the character's name. So now if we build and run, we should be able to scroll and see all of the content that we have added. Boom, there we go. So now we can scroll down and it stops where it's supposed to because that's where the content stops. It doesn't keep going. If I were to make the image something ridiculous like 1,000, I don't even know how it's going to look, but I know it's going to scroll down way more. There it goes. Yeah. So yeah, we'll go ahead and put that back to 500 and run it. And that's it. Yeah, so that's how you would set up the scroll view properly, in my opinion. Also, you can add, obviously much more UI or do whatever functionality you need to do to be able to get your app working the way that you want it. That's all I got for this video. If you guys have any questions, please shoot them down in the comments or anything like that, and I'll be happy to get back to you. Thanks for watching. Peace.